So Giant X just got 3-0'd by Karmine Corp in LEC Spring 2026, losers side of playoffs. And I think a lot of people expected this result, but my God, first of all, if you watch this series, this was a massive disappointment. It looked so promising at the beginning. And also, if you do look into the context, this is just another disappointment in the Giant X story, and I think it needs to be talked about. So to kind of go back to where this Giant X project begins, we have to go back to 2025. So in 2024, Giant X joins, they take Excel's spot. And really the most notable part of this acquisition was not the name change, but was the introduction of rookie Jackies, who, if you go back to my main channel, I'm not going to do it in, kind of a shameless promotion. Although I will say, since I'm thinking about it, please do subscribe to the channel. Please, we're trying to hit 1,000 subs. Dude, if we could hit it like literally in 2 more videos, that would just be insane. I think we can do it. So please subscribe. I won't bother you guys too much more with that. Basically, I won't shamelessly plug about my main channel, but if you go back and watch literally my first video, which was covering week 1 of LEC Winter 2024, I highlighted Jackies as being a massive standout almost immediately, which is pretty awesome that I clocked that so fast. And as you can see, that was the mainstay of the 2024 project until 2025. Then they made some pretty big changes, bringing in rookie Lot. They had Closer at the very beginning, and then at the end of winter, for whatever reason, Closer kind of has like a weird hiatus / retirement. Anyway, Isma comes in after. We'll talk about him in a second. And they also get Noah and June from Fnatic, who just had, again, in hindsight, a really amazing year, but by Fnatic standards, by Fnatic's delusional standards of thinking they're still relevant and can win titles, it was a disappointment. But overall, very exciting changes and straight up just upgrades from Patrick and Ignar. And then Isma, who was coming off of a successful run with SK when he had Niski, Exekik, DOS, and I forget their top laner Irrelevant. And then Isma starts on the roster when they have Reeker and Genex, and I forget who their bot lane was. I think it was like Rahel and Loopy. And then just in one split of that roster falling apart, Isma actually has a quick run on KC Blue, and then he gets brought into GX. And so for literally the entirety of 2025, for the most part, the core 4 plus Isma, and then stuck together. And then, despite only being able to achieve 5th at their best, literally 3 splits in a row, LEC Winter Playoffs, Spring Playoffs, and Summer Playoffs, essentially being the gatekeepers of the LEC at the time, separating our pretty solid top 4 of Fnatic, G2, MKOI, and KC from the bottom rest of the teams, which is impressive. I think a lot of other teams would have decided, okay, we're not achieving what we're hoping to achieve, so let's make some roster changes. But surprisingly, Giant X didn't do this. And actually, you'd be surprised. You would think that I'd be in favor of this. I talk a lot about how I think if rosters just gave their players more time to work on their synergy and improve, that they would get better results. And oddly enough, in this case, it seems to go that way. Also, Giant X is like notorious for apparently being very good in scrims, but apparently this cannot translate onto stage, or perhaps not necessarily doesn't translate into stage as much as it doesn't translate to playoffs, which is kind of a separate issue. In my video from yesterday where I talked about Vitality, some people in the comments were saying, and I tend to agree, that Vitality just, I don't necessarily agree with this, but it's just an interesting point, and I agree with the concept that there is this intangible about teams being able to play at their best in these high pressure scenarios, right? There are teams who are constantly amazing in the regular season, and then come playoffs when it matters most, in part because teams like G2 or MKOI step up when the pressure is highest, and then either their level stays the same or decreases when the pressure is highest. And so anyway, that's just like kind of an intangible factor. So was that what was happening with Giant X? Well, coming into LEC Versus, they have a decent run in the regular season, and then in the playoffs, they finish top 4, which is at least one step higher than it was in all of LEC 2025. And now, again, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but they are finishing the LEC Spring Playoffs in 4th once again. And what's really weird is that it is in nearly the exact same situation with a 0-3 by Karmine Corp to kind of finish them out, right? And again, 3-0 by Karmine Corp. And so the thing is, though, if you look more critically, the reason why Giant X is 4th this year instead of 5th like last year is not because, or I shouldn't say this outright like it's a fact, but you could see it as Giant X improving. But another way to look at it is that Fnatic has just gotten so much worse that they literally haven't even qualified for playoffs. So we just lost a top 4 instead of one of our top 4 members, instead of Giant X stepping up to really fill in those shoes. Because for what you can say about Fnatic from last year, at least they were not getting consistently gapped by MKOI, G2, and KC in the same way. As a quick reminder, and I'm just going to check this super fast, when we look back at 2025 with Fnatic, don't know where that's coming from. Sorry, boys. Hold up. That's probably super loud. Where the hell is that? It's on this tab. Yo, this is so funny, not funny. Jesus Christ. Sorry, guys. Anyway, if we look back at last year, they placed 3rd in the playoffs and took KC to 5 games. Can't say that about Giant X, right? So they actually beat out MKOI. Kind of crazy to think about in hindsight. And they also went to 5 games against KC, who went on to be the champions. So again, impressive run. I'll die on the hill that Fnatic was strong at this time. And then in spring was kind of the closest to where GX is right now. They got 3-0'd by KC, and KC didn't even go on to win the whole thing. And then finally in summer, they literally took out KC, I think 3-1 or 3-0 maybe, and then ended up getting 3-1 by MKOI. So Fnatic was, as a 4th place team, and they weren't even consistently 4th, were more competitive in the top 4 than what clearly is a just straight up gap between the top 3 and GX. Now, to be extra fair, you could argue, well, we haven't seen GX against MKOI or G2 in a best of 5, but especially based on Madrid, it seemed like this matchup might have been the best case scenario for Giant X, because if you guys don't remember, Giant X, I think 2-1'd KC unexpectedly in Madrid during the roadshow, despite losing to MKOI and G2, and many thinking that they were just going to go 0-3 for the weekend. So basically, I know I'm in many words, GX, despite sticking together, which I am a big fan of, they seem to have reached something of an upper limit, and they just seem to be gatekeepers like never before, right? Not able to scratch the top of the table, but always able to separate themselves from the bottom. The only last copium for this team that I will say is that the fact that they 3-0'd Vitality, which is a mixed bag of a result because Vitality clearly was like shitting the bed, and Vitality was creating early game leads that Giant X had to then overcome. And arguably you could say that it was more Vitality throwing than GX being good in those scenarios. You could argue that Vitality was like the Fnatic replacement. It even fits really neatly when you have Humanoid in the team. But I do think 2025 Fnatic was stronger anyway. Whatever. I'm just trying to give every angle of the narrative here. Okay, so let's talk about game 1. And I actually really want you guys to stick around for this, because this was, there is a lot to say about this. This is where the disappointment comes from. All the other games, game 2, game 3, they were shitty, whatever. Like, they were whatever, not a lot to say about them. But game 1 was really heartbreaking. So the reason for this is, so as you can see the way they drafted, GX had first pick, and they first picked Jarvan. Now this is a very popular thing to do into Ashe Seraphine, but I think it is freaking like borderline just straight up int that they are giving Ashe Seraphine away, and that they are giving away Ashe Seraphine to Kalista and Busio especially. Noah and June are a very strong bot lane, and in LEC Versus, it was actually the solo laners of GX that were holding the team back, not Noah and June. So you probably first pick Ashe here, you separate the combo of Ashe Seraphine, and you get Noah on a really OP pick. But it seems they had different plans. And so it really, the comp comes together when they pick the Olaf top. Now, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure Ryze beats Azir. I'm pretty sure Ashe Seraphine beats literally everything, so I would definitely expect it to beat the Mel Shen, although Mel was a very clever pick into the Ashe Seraphine, because with her rebuttal, which is the W that reflects all projectiles, it is a really good counter to this bot lane. But let's just say, right, Ryze should beat Azir, Ashe Seraphine should beat the Mel Shen, and then I'm pretty sure, I'm actually really shocked that it turned out this way. I would have thought that Gnar with the range would have beaten Olaf, although I do understand that Olaf is a bit of a lane bully if he's able to get on top of you, especially with his axes. So maybe that's how Lot was quickly able to establish a lead here. But essentially, my initial feeling was, oh crap, here goes Giant X playing right into KC's hand. Because my feeling on KC is they actually remind me a lot of Rogue from back in the day, where they basically draft winning lanes across the board. I don't know how Inspired played jungle back in the day. I really don't even know super well how he plays now. But in the context of KC, this actually having winning lanes across the board plays perfectly into what Yike wants to do and how he wants to play the game, because Yike wants his laners to do their thing so that he can play his own 1v1 jungle matchup. He's almost playing like a single player game at this point. And honestly, I think there should be a conversation about Yike kind of playing shitty, especially in a series like this, but that's a conversation for another day. Anyway, so I thought they were playing right into their hands, but I did see the vision of, okay, well, first of all, Olaf, we saw this with G2 and Skewmon. Even if it's in the top lane as opposed to the jungle, it actually might even be better because top has more resources and higher levels. That if they're putting their faith in that pick as the counter to the Ashe Seraphine, I could see the vision. I also could see it's similar to kind of like Nocturne, where you want to pair up somebody who's going to be diving the backline with someone else who can help dive the backline. So perhaps Isma on Jarvan also works in hand in hand with the Olaf pick. So I saw potential there. And finally, June on Shen with the ultimate, that also seemed like we really had a dive composition on our hands. And very quickly, as we can see here, Lot is able to proxy the wave, so he crashes the wave into Kana's tower, and then is able to proxy and get a quick back off. Looks like he was able to establish a lead in a lane that I literally thought he was going to fall behind in. It's also especially helpful that he doesn't have TP, so he's able to find this lane. Oh, he does have to burn Ghost, that makes sense. So he probably burned Ghost to get this advantage. But anyway, and then there's so many other plays to talk about really quick. So the early game goes absolutely fantastic for GX. We get, so this is like really kind of funny. Yehu just kind of misclicks up here and flashes. And so Isma is able to punish that because he knows that Yehu does not have flash. This gets Jackie's on Azir, which is usually a more scaling pick that's supposed to lose into the Ryze. It instead gets him really accelerated. Isma ends up getting Yike's flash and not dying here. So Yike literally should not have burned that flash. That was just an int by him, low-key. I mean, I guess he gets Isma out of his jungle, but I don't think he needed to do all that. So that was one really good early game play. Then, I thought this was really shocking because usually when junglers are playing towards one side of the map, you then have the other jungler playing to the other side, right? We saw this with, I believe, I think it was Mkoy into G2 where Skewmon was playing for top side, so Oyoya just played for bot side. And it sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But in this case, I would have thought that with... well, I guess Isma hadn't shown any attention to a particular lane just yet. He was kind of doing his own thing. But I was just kind of generally surprised that they would go for this gank onto Lot, who was playing Olaf, who once he gets level 6 is going to be incredibly hard to lock down. And Lot plays this extremely well. He gets the level up with an axe throw. So now he's level 6. We have Kana, Yike, and everybody going in. Kana tries to ult, but Olaf ends up getting the ultimate. Is that Shen ult? Yeah, Shen. Does Shen ult? Or maybe, oh no, he doesn't even have ult. I'm sorry guys, I'm getting a little distracted here. Olaf manages to survive. Isma comes in with the EQ and they get the kill onto Yike. And so this is a massive disaster for KC. KC was playing like shit, bro. It was not good. Oh, we got to pause, a little awkward. Hold up. Sorry, stick with me because this actually is a really good game to kind of dissect here. This fourth kill... This has to be a kill. Oh, here we go. Yeah, another great play by June. June sees that Yike is on the dragon, plays up perfectly on the vision so he doesn't get seen despite there being minions in the lane. Jackie's goes for the ultimate. June flash taunts, and they get the kill onto Yehu before he's able to escape with the Realm Warp. Amazing play. Things are going super duper well. I will say I was a little bit concerned that they were giving up dragons early because they managed to get, I believe, 2 dragons over on the side of KC. But GX is no slouch. They get the grubs. They get the Rift Herald, I believe. So things are going... I know I keep saying it, but things are going really well for them. This play was probably the most int. So Isma's there in the bush, and he's kind of waiting for Kana to step up just a little bit too far forward. Lot pops the Ghost. But even though Isma EQs, Kana's able to get the double bounce. Or is it the double bounce? Yeah, it's a double bounce. Gets over it. Then Noah gets punished on the opposite side of the map. So this is exactly what I was talking about earlier. When one team makes a play on the top side, the other team makes a play on the bottom side. They do end up successfully getting this play onto Kana, although it does cost June his life. The thing is, June, I'm going to talk about this a little bit after game 1 especially. June played really poorly this series, which is surprising because June is extremely popular and very, very good. I really just, honestly, now that I don't want to like bore you guys with like play-by-play like I usually do, really I want to get to 2 primary fights. So let me see. One is at 18 minutes, so I'll get this in. Oh, it was just there, I guess. So check, sorry guys, hold up. So we get a play here where we have literally a 4v5, right? Jackie's goes in. Jackie's was doing weird shit on the Azir, dude. Check this out. He goes forward, does the shuffle, but then somehow just completely whiffs on Yehu. They still manage to get a lot of damage down. Really, the key part of the fight is that Lot goes, you know, pulls the Ragnarok onto Kalist, and despite Kalist flashing, he manages to get the kill here. Now, here... this is like the end of the play. Like, Lot, you did your job. You got on top of Kalist. You completely separated him from your teammates. Your teammates dropped the Rift Herald, crashed it into the tower. This is perfect. Now that you got this kill and the Realm Warp is coming through and Busio is probably going to take it, just leave. I guess he's thinking that it's only going to be Yehu. And we have Yike here. We also have a TP coming from Kana. He must have just tunnel visioned, but that's honestly unacceptable. He loses the Ragnarok because he's not hitting any targets, so it's not prolonging the ultimate. And he literally goes down. Here, look at that. With the Realm Warp coming in, if he didn't keep posturing left, what he could have done is jumped on top of Yike. It wouldn't have been the best target selection, but you have Isma with you. And what you could do is just hit Yike and then play to escape. I don't understand. And Yike honestly instas very soon after. He overstays, gets ulted with no Q. He does have flash, but I guess he just decides to not use it, which I think was also another poor decision. So KC is not playing clean. I really highlight this play because there's another one. Okay, so at 25 minutes, let's see if I can get here. So GX finds an opportunity to start the Baron, even though this all starts because Noah gets caught out. So Noah gets caught out. KC starts the Baron. Oh, okay. So it's not that that GX starts the Baron. So Lot TP's in, right? He TP's in. He's going to immediately Ragnarok, looking to get on top of Kalist or somebody else like that, right? As the rest of his team are coming. He runs forward, he gets onto Busio, which I think is a decent decision. I think you still go for Kalist because he's more important. But honestly, getting this kill onto Busio, it's not bad. It evens out the numbers at the very least, right? Because they still, well, is Noah even up? No, Noah's still down, I'm sorry. Okay, so Busio goes down. Now here, I think he joins the fight. But then he goes on to Yike. Now, I understand at the end of the day, especially like I said with Ragnarok, and you're trying to keep it sustained, you just got to hit whoever's in front of you. But because he's going on to Yike, who is, even without the flash, has the Q, and so you have to kind of, if you know Vi, which a jungler, freaking Lot's not a jungler, but you should know that Vi Q is on a very short cooldown, right? So is it likely that you're going to kill a Vi with like 60% HP before she's able to get her Q off cooldown and jump over the wall? Not very likely, right? So he starts going on to Yike. Here he should have pivoted and either went on to Yehu or pivoted onto Kalist. But instead he keeps going by himself. Now in the comms, which is why I'm glad I got to hear this, he did say that he was, like, he told his team, like, go in on the other guys because I am creating space for you. I respect that. But I think it's flawed logic. I think if you just go onto Yehu here, even if Kalist is stepping forward to try and free hit onto you, you're probably going to sustain through it as you take down Yehu's life bar. And that will also give you the opportunity to turn onto Kalist once you've killed your primary target. Do you guys follow what I'm saying? So anyway, instead, Lot freaking realizes that Yike's gonna get over the wall. So now his Ragnarok's gone. Kana gets on top of Jackie's and June. Yike goes over the wall. Now he's behind Jackie's. Jackie's goes down. June has nothing to do. He has no ultimate. Isma, and then this is the last part of the fight where the target selection is just atrocious. So here, excuse me, we get the W from Kalist, and Isma is looking towards Yehu. Lot is posturing towards Kana. He then gets rooted, changes his mind, throws the axe onto Yehu. Isma changes his mind, thinks he sees an angle onto Kalist, but Kalist is only playing so far forward because he has flash. So he gets ulted on by Isma, but it ultimately doesn't matter because first of all, Isma doesn't even have the damage to kill Kalist on his own. Yehu just flashes this wall here, so Lot doesn't even get to confirm the kill, which I guess at the end of the day, I'm not gonna be too harsh on a guy who's not able to track all of these summoners in a high intensity fight. I'm just more annoyed that we're playing two guys against, like, we're spreading ourselves out instead of playing like a unit and diving together. Right at the last second, this is something that I saw on the analyst desk. Isma gets on top, and then he goes to Q, and Kalist literally is so dirty. Like, the way he just plays with so much confidence. He waits to flash until Isma's cooldown, until he sees the Q come out. And so the damage doesn't go off. Kalist survives, and then he's able to free hit onto Isma, who literally has no spells to move. And that's it. Now Lot and Isma are sitting ducks. They're not working together, and they get picked off. Extremely frustrating. The last play that I want to go over, and this is where the game is just really, at this point, like, just falling apart for these guys, is 33 minutes. Hold up. So, yeah, this is it. So, 1 second. 33 minutes. So this is the play that I was mentioning earlier. They start the Baron, GX does. KC is trying to walk in. As soon as Lot sees A, the TP, but also B, Busio stepping just one step too far, excuse me, one step too far forward, he immediately pivots, which I think was wise, right? He throws the axe, that means he gets the slow, he pops the Ragnarok, he also popped the Ghost, right? Here is where he makes the big mistake. So this is what frustrates me. Not only is it Lot's target selection, but it's also the fact that I would imagine this comp is meant to be centered around Lot. Not only Lot, Isma, and June. But it's so evident that the communication is divided. Isma seems to be waiting for something, right? Because he's not pulling the trigger when Lot does. Maybe he's waiting for Kalist. Maybe the call is to still potentially take the Baron. Maybe Lot is like, I'm going to distract while you guys finish the objective, even though we have no eyes on Yike, who has GA. June is also not preparing to ult Lot as he dives in. So literally, spoiler alert, June dies in this fight with his Shen ult still up. Okay? So look, Lot pulls the trigger. Isma's still here. Why are you still here? Why aren't you EQing over here? Why are you not EQing? You're EQing freaking Yehu. Why? Like, why are we so divided? I don't know if the idea is that we think that Lot can do it all on his own. Look at June. June's not doing shit. June is not doing shit this whole time. I guess he's waiting to peel. He doesn't even peel. He doesn't even peel. He doesn't even get on top of Kana, who is solely focused on killing Jackies. He stuns Yehu. Who cares? Freaking Lot is doing the Lord's work in the backside right now. In the backside. In the back, well, yeah, the back end of the team fight. Dude, look at this. Look at June. If June was paying attention, first and foremost, this pissed me off right here, right? Just look at Lot. I'm going to actually slow this down. If you just watch Lot here. Now I'm playing it too slow, but look right there. Look at the distance. He could have gotten onto Kalist. And then he has flash. Fuck Busio. Who cares about Busio? He's a Seraphine. What the fuck is the Seraphine going to do in the fight? I guess the logic is that he's going to shield. But my god, it's like, kill Busio at all costs, even though Kalist is the one who is going to rip you apart, bro. He gets on top of Busio. And look at this. June, you're right here. If he ults Lot, if Lot's screaming, ult me, ult me, ult me. Look how close he is to killing Kalist. Look how close. Look how close. If he has a shield and then Shen arrives and then he E's the Kalist, Now you have, oh man, and then imagine if Isma was there. Complete throw, dude. Complete throw. And like literally completely unacceptable. And then it's like you have a 4v3, but at that point, Yike is full HP. Yehu's down. And then he cues in and it's just over. It's just over. And dude, look, June gets caught out by the Vi. Look, Vi cues over, hits onto Shen. Shen dies with no ultimate, dude. If he ults Noah there, maybe he could do something. Just surviving a little bit longer, dude. Like, literally, I was so pissed off about that. I literally had to talk about that. Oh my god, that is really so freaking annoying. And I like Lot and all. And in game 3, he played on Kled, and it was kind of the same story. He was trying to like dive the back line, but he didn't have any assistance from anybody else. So he's getting jumped on by 4. The rest of the team really can't kind of do anything while Lot is in the backside. Oh man, it was so frustrating. First of all, again, you guys know me. I really like native EU talent. Jackie's is clearly like above average. Like I think he belongs here. But it's unfortunate. I don't know if he has what it takes to, for example, be the domestic EU mid laner that I would like to have on KC. Isma genuinely has really impressed me. I do think the one thing I'll die on this hill that kind of separates him from like the Elyoya of the world, in my opinion, because they have a very similar playstyle, is that Isma looks for kills, whereas I think Elyoya certainly does too, but he also knows how to set up his team's wave states, particularly with mid. It's really almost entirely around how he sets up Jojopyun, but I don't know if Isma is capable of that necessarily, but that's my only little asterisk on him. But otherwise, Isma is very strong, and I could definitely see GX building around him and Jackie's. Lot, dude, it's just hard, man. I mean, like people were saying that Lot, I don't know if they were saying Lot stepped up. I know people said that Jackie stepped up, but like Lot, like dude, like you actually did so much well. But I can't even blame June and Isma necessarily, because in that last play that I showed you guys, he should have went onto Kalist. Like when Kalist was literally point blank range, why are you flashing onto Seraphine, dude? That's just a tough one, and it's frustrating. It makes me think that they kind of weren't as strategic in that comp as I thought they were. I don't know. Noah and June, June looked rough, dude, especially on the range supports, but even on Shen. Dude, he made Shen look like, why'd you even pick it, dude? It really did. It felt like more of a liability than anything else. No disrespect to June. I like the guy, and I liked him on Fnatic. And Noah was fine. Just, I'm not saying that he's like, oh, man, like he's jailed right now on a bad team. But it's just like, I don't think he was the problem. And yeah, man, they gave June karma. He got caught out a lot in game 2, and they gave him Milio in game 3, and that shit didn't do anything. So yeah, man, I don't know what you do here. People were saying that Noah and June might have like their time up. They might have to go back to Korea to do military service and such. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into that in terms of their ages and what those requirements would be. Of course, I think I would like to see a domestic bot lane, but I don't even know who you throw on here. Maybe you throw like a Mickey X on this project. That would be pretty cool. Mickey X and maybe like Exakick or something, just because I'm thinking of like a stronger like 80 carry that's domestic or something like that. Is there anybody else? I don't know. Anyway, that's a conversation for another day. Long story short, RIP to Giant X. That game 1 pissed me off so much because they were literally in the driver's seat. They really countered KC's comp. I thought they played brilliantly, and then they just threw in key moments. And at the end of the day, what are you going to do? I don't know. I think they're going to stick together and try again for summer, but I don't know. I mean, it feels like so frustrating because it's like with a situation like this, it's like it's so simple for them to have potentially won game 1 and potentially had the momentum to do more damage in game 2 and game 3. Clearly, they can take, albeit a best 2 out of 3, but they can take a best of 3 series from a top team. But I guess either A, when it matters most, or B, when it's a best of 5. Probably because it matters most because it happened twice. They're not able to topple KC, and it would be interesting to see how they would do against MKOI or G2. But honestly, the last thing that I want to say is that I wasn't super impressed with KC today. KC did not look super hot at all. at all, to be honest with you. So I think that going into my predictions, which I'm not going to do in this video, for next weekend, for the final week of playoffs, Karmine Corp, this might be the best situation that MCoy find themselves in, because this KC does not feel like the one that's going to topple them. It feels like MCoy has more momentum, especially with how badly MCoy was able to challenge G2. Again, that's a conversation for another day. I really appreciate you guys' time. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. Please do subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000. Oh, man, come on. I made an announcement earlier. I think we can get to 850 today. But I'll see you guys tomorrow, because actually I have a shit ton of videos planned. I know I always talk shit that I'm going to make a bunch of videos, but I actually have a bunch of videos that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. So check me out. Tough Leader International. See you guys next time. Not to do a PewDiePie reference in the big 2026, but peace out. Thanks so much, guys. See you later.